Hey Sugar Snaps, welcome to the Textile Indie YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome in. My name is Brittany. If you're an old friend, welcome back. Glad to have you. In this video, I'm sharing a little bit about my trip to Europe. We did England and France, a very small portion of it. And I wanted to share my journey, the knit project that I took along the way, and some things that I observed and was inspired by in this trip. We leave for England in 3 days, and I just have the upper back done and the shoulder straps. I really wanted to take this with us done, like finish it and wear it on the trip. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I got this yarn from Mother Knitters. It's Mandarin Petite from Sandnes Garn, and this one is natural and this one is navy. It's been very interesting to see how this pattern knits up. I'm really enjoying it. It's very pleasant, and this yarn is really beautiful to work with because it's so soft and has such a beautiful sheen. Been toting my project around in the bag that the yarn came in from Sandnes Garn because it's just so cute. I don't know, it's silly, but this bag has such a great texture and it's really cute to just kind of tote my yarn around and have my project ready to go when I have a few minutes to knit. Well, I did not finish my shirt before we left for Europe, so at the last minute, as we were pulling into the airport, I decided that I was going to take it with us and knit it as we traveled. Hey guys, we're at the Seattle airport. We're getting ready to head off to London. We have a layover in Reykjavik, Iceland, and then we're going to be flying into London tomorrow. So we have a red-eye flight. We're gonna try to sleep because first thing tomorrow, we're gonna take the underground to Westminster Pier and take a Thames River cruise. Super excited to see all the things there. It's really surreal because we planned this trip 4 years ago to be actually doing this trip. So Bailey and my husband Jordan and Bailey's husband Jordan are coming along with us. So let's explore London together. And of course, when I find a good bookstore, I look for the craft section first. I loved getting my hands on Knitting for Olive's book and exploring some new to me tapestry and other fiber craft books. I was able to do a lot of knitting on trains and buses between places, and I had gotten to the point in my knitting project where I was doing continuous knitting in the round, just changing colors as I got there, which made it the perfect travel project, so I could look out the window and enjoy the views while also knitting. From London, we traveled to the Jane Austen house, which was a dream visit, especially for Bailey. The Jane Austen books, Pride and Prejudice, MS, Sense and Sensibility, and all the rest were a big part of our childhood reading. So it was really cool to be able to walk the grounds and go through the house, which is now a museum, and just be in the garden and the house and see where she lived and just kind of soak in that area. We're at the Jane Austen house in Charlton. I'm walking in the gardens and I just found the house dye garden, and it has a lot of plants that are pretty familiar, things like madder and woad. It's really fun to see a dye garden written about and posted in this beautiful garden. I just walked down this little path surrounded by hedges, had some lunch on a picnic blanket, we dressed up and got to explore the house. We made it to Moreton Marsh. We're on, not the Cotswolds way, but we're on the trail to head to Stanton, and then our ultimate destination today is Winchcombe, where we have an Airbnb. But we're gonna traverse a lot of countryside. One of the highlights for me was walking the Cotswolds. We walked from village to village in the region of the Cotswolds, which is a collection of idyllic small villages in England, and it also happens to be a historical hub for the British wool trade. So I was really excited to see that area and walk through the pastures and see sheep. Jordan and I did that segment together, and it ended up that it was super muddy. Shoes right now.
Nice and clean, fresh.
It's not gonna last very long. Ended up being like 6 inches deep in mud. It felt like that line in Pride and Prejudice where the snooty sister says something like, "Did you see her skirt? It was 6 inches deep in mud." That is absolutely what we looked like. As we were coming into town, we would pull off to the side of the trail and swap out of our muddy stuff and put on clean shoes and clean clothes over top of our muddy clothes so that we could enter town and not look like some ragamuffin that the cat drug in. We were able to go into the little villages and stopped at some cafes. We stayed the night at inns or Airbnbs depending on the village we were staying in. We are at the Mousetrap Inn. We got a room and we're at the restaurant now. We just ordered our starter, which is this beautiful charcuterie board. It was a very fun experience. As we were walking, we walked through a lot of sheep fields, and we're able to see a lot of baby sheep because it's lambing season. We found sheep! Look how cute they are! Baby guys. It's a mama. Walking through the Cotswolds felt like the pilgrimage for the fiber artists because we were walking through a lot of pastures full of sheep, and it was lambing season, so we got to see a lot of little babies, which were really cute. As backpackers and outdoor enthusiasts, this was probably my favorite part of the trip because we were able to get out and explore the more rural areas of England. And of course, as a fiber enthusiast, before we left, I noted all of the yarn and craft shops in kind of the general area that we were going to be in, and a lot of them we missed the timing or they were too far away to be able to go to. But I was able to stop into the Borton Yarn Basket in Borton on the Water, and I got some goodies which I'll be sharing later in this video. And then Bailey stopped at the Woolhound for me and explored that shop. Looks like a great shop. She got me a few things from there as well. I'll share those later in this video. One of the challenges we came across for our trip was that for flights, we were only allowed a personal item, which caused a problem when it came to yarn shopping because I didn't have a lot of extra space. So I spent most of the trip with yarn skeins poking out the top of my backpack. The things we'll do to buy yarn, am I right? We wrapped up our walking tour in Stow-on-the-Wold and joined Bailey and Jordan. We made it to Stow-on-the-Wold and our Airbnb is so cute. We're very excited. Stone, it has this really beautiful fireplace and an outdoor seating area that we're excited to use if it's not raining tomorrow. We're just very short walk to the downtown area, and we have a seating area where we can eat. It's very nice. Bailey and I treated ourselves to an afternoon tea at a cozy little tea shop in Stow-on-the-Wold. So we got a lemon cake, we got fruit scones with clotted cream, strawberry jam, salted caramel cake, cucumber, hummus, and ham and mustard sandwiches. The project that I chose to bring on this trip is a Kurovekika pattern. It's called the Sailor Swift top. The pattern is top to bottom. I have this much done so far. So I have the neck hole, my two armholes here on the sides, and then I'm building the body. I'm using Canggu knitting needles, which I've come to really love recently. They're stainless steel with this really strong coated strand to hold them together, and I don't know, they knit really smoothly and I can get going pretty fast on them. This has been really nice because I did all of the more focus work for the neckline and the sleeves at home before I left, and then I've just been able to knit in the round and changing color to do the body. And then the last step will be to finish off the sleeves and the neck hole following the pattern. But I've really been enjoying this knit because I can just kind of zone out, and I really love watching the scenery go by when on the train. I think I'm at the point in my knitting where I need to go try it on to make sure that this is not too big and not too small. I have enough of the shape, the neck hole, and the armholes here, here, to kind of see that. For some reason, the mic stopped working when I tried my shirt on. So while I have that video here, the audio isn't working. So I just wanted to say it fit beautifully. Super happy with how it was fitting. I hadn't done a fit yet at this point in the knitting, and so this was the first time I was seeing it on. I was a little bit nervous that it was going to be too big or too small or just fit weird, but I put it on, super pleased with the silhouette, how it's fitting, and the yarn is so soft. So the results so far were really satisfying, and I was very excited to see this since I've been putting in so much effort. And now, because I've been knitting this on the trip, it has a lot of great memories. Just random side note, I got a new dress for this trip, and I love that it has pockets and it's spinnable, which is so fun. We traveled to Marseille, France next. We have a friend that grew up here, and we were able to see her and her family, and she gave us a great tour of her city. Then we took the train up to Paris and spent several days walking Paris, taking in as much as we could of the beautiful large city and taking breaks to rest and eat croissants. We packed a lot into 15 days. Now for my yarn haul. The shop that I went to was Borton Yarn Basket in Borton on the Water, and it's primarily a crochet shop with some haberdashery or sewing and embroidery, needlecraft type supplies. And she was featuring a local artist called Evolution Wardrobe, who does these super cute crochet hook handles. She decorates them with these fun beads, and this is the size 3, which will work well for my temperature blanket. So I decided to get this one because it's fun colors and the leaves on the beads are really beautiful. And then I also came across this yarn. This is hand-dyed yarn by Cozy Kitchen Fibers. It's hand-dyed in Devon, and this is merino in a DK weight. It's superwash. I was bouncing between the local fibers and the local dyers and decided to go with this hand-dyed yarn because as I've been working on my Sailor Swift top, I saw this and thought this would be a really fun version out of this and maybe some natural cream stripes in between to make kind of a springy, colorful top. So I got 2 bundles of these, and because they were shoved in my backpack for 2 weeks, they're a little bit worse for wear, came undone. But the colors are really beautiful, really bright and fun, and they somehow reminded me of our trip thus far, the walking and just seeing the scenery. We had a lot of blue skies and went through a lot of mud, so I thought the blue and the brown were perfect representation of our experience in the Cotswolds. And then Bailey stopped at the Wool Hound in Oxford, which looked like a great shop, and she picked out 2 different skeins of yarn. both of which I'm very excited about. This chunky weight wool yarn, this is 100% pure British wool, and the label on this guy just says British wool, but the label on this one, on the natural, describes it as: starting at the British wool auction in Bradford, the wool is scoured, combed, spun, dyed, steamed, and handed in the county of Yorkshire. And this happens to be the same brand, so I'm kind of assuming they're the same process. This one is Blueface Leicester and Masham wool blend. Natural is always fun because it's a blank canvas for dye projects. And having a gray color this is also dyeable. It would just achieve kind of a muted color of whatever the dye is, but I might end up using it in a natural as well, depending on, I don't have a project for either of these in mind yet, but these will get tucked away. And you know you're a fiber nerd when all of your souvenirs are yarn. Best souvenir ever. Now I want to show you my finished Sailor Swift top. Well, here is my finished tank top. I am done. I wet blocked it and let it dry for a few days, and I am so happy with it. The Kudavikika pattern and video tutorial are really easy to follow along with, and I had a lot of fun knitting this. Taking it along on my trip was, I think, a brilliant idea. I'm so glad that I had that moment as we were driving into the airport of like, I'm taking this with me. I have to keep working on it, because it was really nice to have when we were doing public transportation or just waiting or at the park relaxing, and it was very soothing to have a project with me to work on. The bottom edge is slightly ribbed, and then the collar and the sleeves are finished. So I really enjoyed this pattern. I think that I'm going to make more of them for this summer. I've included the link to the pattern as well as the link to Kudavikika's video tutorial in the description below if you're interested in looking at that. And I just have been reflecting on our trip the last few days as we've gotten back into normal life. One of the things I've been reflecting on is the just depth of craftsmanship that we saw on our trip, both at the Louvre and the British Museum, and really throughout London and Paris, Marseille, the Cotswolds, all of those places. So much craftsmanship represented in their buildings, and at the Louvre there were these huge tapestries that probably filled the hall of a castle, and I went up really close to see like the individual threads and the mix of colors that they use to create optical blending as you step away and then see the tapestry unfold as a whole and the image represented. Just that detail orientedness and being able to see a huge picture in a small square inch space as they were working was very impressive. It reminded me that craft can be something that you enjoy and also something that you pursue to master and do to a really high level or at a really high skill level. Probably won't be mastering any of these skills to the level of these medieval and Renaissance artisans, but it was just a reminder that craft can be enjoyment and also a science and a deep skill. I really want to thank everyone who commented so kindly on my last vlog from back in March. I really appreciated all your comments and responses to my video that I did back then on talking about criticism and how we creatives take in criticism. It was just very refreshing to hear your comments and your kindness, and thank you so much for commenting there. Thank you so much for being part of the Textile Indie community and watching my videos and subscribing to my email list. It's so fun to get to share the projects that I'm doing and hear some of what you're doing. Like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Happy making. Bye.